men suffer from everything that is common in mental health. So they suffer from anxiety, they suffer from depression, they suffer from substance abuse.
There's a saying, and it's, you're only as sick as your secrets. And I can't tell you how many times I think about that.
So many of the famous people that have killed themselves, Robin Williams, Prince, Anthony Bourdain is one. And then the George Gosbee story just caught me because I've read about him. I knew he was the owner of the Arizona Coyotes. One of my partners knew him really well and was so shaken with his suicide.
He was such an influential business person, and so many people knew him, but they knew him as the guy that came into the office as happy, and the guy that motivated people to work and, achieve great things, not as the guy that struggled with this inner demon who could take his life.
His public persona was so impressive, and he had so many people that looked up to him and admired him, but he was struggling and struggling badly.
He had this belief that perception was everything. So our whole motive in the home was to make sure it looked like we were sparkly clean and tickety-boo.
No one really knew outside of our family, and it was this big, dark secret that we didn't share with anyone.
You really have this overwhelming feeling of no hope and no security. Even though we had a nice big house and we had nice cars, and we looked fantastic. He had two things, mental health and addiction, which usually go hand in hand.
He struggled a lot with drinking excessive amounts. Some days were so much worse than others, and some days were good. And you know what? When it was good, they had such a good marriage, and we all had fun, and we joked around, and the times were amazing. But when it was bad, it was really bad.
George had wrestled with suicide the entire marriage.
On the Saturday, I texted him, and I was just reached out and asked him how he was feeling. And I didn't actually get a reply back. It really started to freak me out. So my mom actually went with my uncle to the house, and there they had found my dad. And I remember just dropping the phone and dropping onto my knees and just crying and crying, and my brother heard me, and he came upstairs, and he didn't ask any questions, and I think he just knew as well, and it was just one of those things that it's just the darkest point that we could ever imagine.
I feel like men don't take the time to understand the struggles that they might have. We're programmed as a society, as individuals, to be shameful of any weakness.
What our goal is to help the men that are struggling, maybe not diagnosed, maybe even not on the diagnosable spectrum, but that are struggling and want help.
I liken this to, in the 50s and the 60s, nobody talked about cancer. You didn't say that word at all. And now it's mental health.
We have to make sure that we inspire people to realize that there is help. We don't want people to think I'm alone. We want people to think I know where to go.
If it could happen to our family, it could happen to anybody else.